Ask yourself this: are you living by the standards you deserve, or just drifting through life doing what's easy? Most people think small changes will give them big results, but the truth is your results will never rise above the level of standards you set for yourself. Every time you accept less, excuse yourself, or avoid effort, you're quietly telling the world and yourself that you're okay with average. It doesn't have to be that way. Raising your standards is about taking control of your choices, holding yourself accountable, and refusing to settle for anything that doesn't move you forward. It's about making decisions today that your future self will thank you for, creating daily habits that build confidence, and stepping into a life that reflects your true potential. In this video, you're going to discover exactly how to stop lowering your expectations, break patterns that hold you back, and start living at a higher standard every single day. By the end, you'll see life differently, and you'll know exactly how to rise to the version of yourself you've always wanted to be. Chapter 1. Decide what you will no longer accept in life. Every change in life begins with a decision. Not a wish, not a hope, but a decision. And the most important decision you can make is deciding what you will no longer accept. This is the moment where most people stop short, because it requires honesty, courage, and a willingness to face the truth about themselves. You have spent years tolerating things that quietly lower your potential, and every time you accept less, it becomes easier to accept even less in the future. The cycle repeats until your life no longer feels like yours. You have to stop. You have to decide. Deciding what you will no longer accept is not about punishing yourself. It is not about guilt or shame. It is about clarity and self-respect. It is about drawing a line and saying, this behavior, this habit, this standard, or this choice will not exist in my life anymore. You must feel the weight of that statement in your chest, not just think it in your mind. The body recognizes truth before the mind does. When your body accepts this, action follows naturally. Start by looking at your daily life. What are the small things that chip away at your energy, confidence, and focus? It could be waking up late, wasting time on social media, eating poorly, or avoiding work that matters. None of these choices seem disastrous on their own, but over months and years they shape the quality of your life. Every morning you hit snooze, every distraction you indulge, every promise you break to yourself is a decision to accept less than your best. Decide that those things will no longer define you. Deciding what you will no longer accept requires honesty about the people in your life. Influence matters. Some relationships lift you, some drain you, and some keep you stagnant without you even noticing. Stop accepting disrespect. Stop accepting constant negativity. Stop staying connected to people who subtly convince you that less is enough. This is not about cutting people off unreasonably. It is about valuing your time, energy, and potential enough to step away from what holds you back. When you raise your standards for who you allow close to your life, you create space for support, growth, and encouragement. Many people fear change because they worry about discomfort. Change always feels uncomfortable. Growth feels uncomfortable, but remaining in the patterns you know, the routines you are used to, feels safe only because it is familiar. Familiarity is not success. Familiarity is habit. Success comes from conscious choice. Deciding what you will no longer accept is the first step in turning discomfort into opportunity. You do not need permission from anyone to take that step. It is yours and yours alone. Your mind is trained by your behavior. Every choice you make sends a message to your brain about who you are. Every time you accept less, your mind learns that this is normal. Every time you stop accepting less, your mind starts to expect better. This is psychology in action. You are programming yourself for the life you want. It does not happen overnight, but every decision builds momentum. Start small. Pick one habit, one behavior, one pattern you know is holding you back, and refuse to accept it any longer. The clarity that comes from that single refusal will ripple into every part of your life. Accountability matters. Deciding what you will no longer accept is useless if you do not follow through. The moment you make the decision, You must act. Actions, not intentions, create standards. Every day you uphold the boundaries you set. You reinforce your new identity. Every day you allow old patterns back into your life. You weaken your standards. Consistency is what transforms a decision into a lifestyle. This decision also changes your inner dialogue. Many people sabotage themselves before the world has a chance. Thoughts like "I'll try tomorrow," or "I can start later," or "it's not that bad," quietly erode confidence. When you decide what you will no longer accept, your internal conversation changes. You begin to speak to yourself with clarity and firmness. You no longer negotiate with laziness, fear, or comfort. You set rules for yourself that are clear and non-negotiable. The tone is calm, not harsh. It is firm, not angry. It is honest and grounded in reality. Physical presence matters too. When you commit to higher standards, it shows in your posture, your energy, and your actions. You carry yourself differently because you know you are no longer accepting mediocrity. Others notice. People respond to your energy and consistency. Standards are not invisible. They are demonstrated in the way you live each day. Fear is inevitable. The fear of change, the fear of discomfort, the fear of losing what you are familiar with. Accept the fear as part of the process, but do not let it dictate your action. Deciding what you will no longer accept requires courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is acting despite fear. Every time you take a step toward higher standards, you build confidence. Every step forward proves to yourself that you are capable of more than you believe. This decision also reshapes how you manage your time. Time is your most valuable resource. When you refuse to accept poor habits, wasted hours, and distractions, you naturally start protecting your time. You become more selective about where you invest your energy. You notice opportunities you once ignored. You prioritize actions that align with your long-term goals. This is the practical effect of raising standards. It changes not only what you do but how you allocate yourself. You will face resistance from old habits and familiar comfort. Your body and mind will push back, subtly at first, then louder as change takes hold. Expect it. Do not fight it with anger or frustration. Meet it with awareness and deliberate action. The moment you notice resistance, remind yourself of your decision. Repeat it in your mind. Hold your boundary. Every resistance you overcome strengthens your standards. Every moment you return to old patterns weakens them. This is also a lesson in patience. Raising standards does not mean instant perfection. It means daily improvement. You will slip. You will falter. You will make mistakes. That is natural. What matters is your ability to return quickly and without excuses. Recovery speed, not flawless execution, is the measure of your growing standards. Your consistency will inspire confidence in yourself and in others. The impact of deciding what you will no longer accept extends to every area of life. Relationships improve because you no longer tolerate disrespect, dishonesty, or negativity. Work improves because you no longer accept mediocrity or procrastination. Health improves because you no longer accept poor habits that harm your body or energy. Your emotional life improves because you no longer accept unnecessary stress or self-sabotage. Standards are the invisible force behind every visible success. Decision-making sharpens when you refuse to accept less. Clarity comes naturally because the line is drawn. When an opportunity, a task, or a relationship presents itself, you automatically measure it against the standard you set. Anything that does not meet it is rejected without guilt or hesitation. This is how confidence is built. Confidence is not belief alone. It is proof through consistent choices that honor your standards. You cannot rely on motivation alone. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes. Standards are permanent. Once you decide what you will no longer accept, you act regardless of how you feel. Action builds trust in yourself. Trust in yourself builds confidence. Confidence allows you to handle challenges that once seemed impossible. This is the psychology of progress. This is the power of standards. Deciding what you will no longer accept also teaches you the importance of self-respect. Self-respect is not given. It is earned through boundaries, consistent behavior,
and deliberate choices. Every refusal to tolerate mediocrity, every effort to act intentionally, every moment you uphold your standards, reinforces your self-respect. That respect becomes a shield and a compass for every choice you make. Reflection matters. At the end of each day, consider where you allowed lower standards to slip in. Notice where you succeeded. Use this reflection to adjust your actions tomorrow. This is not judgment. This is awareness. Awareness ensures your standards are alive and active, not just words in your head. The life you desire is built in these moments of decision. Small intentional refusals to accept less compound over time. They shape your habits, your identity, and your results. You do not attract higher outcomes by hoping. You create them by refusing to accept less. Every choice, every action, every moment becomes a brick in the foundation of the life you are designing. Ultimately, deciding what you will no longer accept is an act of freedom. It is freedom from excuses, freedom from mediocrity, freedom from self-doubt and wasted effort. You reclaim control over your life. You stop reacting to circumstances. You begin directing your own path. Freedom comes when your actions match your intentions, and your standards guide those actions every day. This decision is private but powerful. You do not need validation from others. You do not need recognition. The change begins quietly within you, but over time, it becomes visible. People notice the difference. Your energy changes, your focus sharpens, your life improves. The results are proof of the boundaries you have set. You will face challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt. That is inevitable, but every time you reaffirm what you will no longer accept, you strengthen your inner foundation. Standards are like gravity for your life. They keep you grounded, focused, and moving toward growth. The higher you set them, the stronger your life becomes. Act daily in alignment with your decision. This is how transformation occurs. Not in one moment, not through words alone, but through repeated, deliberate action. Every morning you wake up and honor your standards. Every time you make a choice consistent with your best self, you reinforce who you are becoming. Over time, those choices compound into a life that reflects your highest standard. Deciding what you will no longer accept is the first step toward a better life. It is the foundation of self-respect, confidence, discipline, and success. It is a decision that changes your identity, your relationships, your work, and your health. It is not easy, but it is essential. Nothing meaningful in life begins without boundaries. Nothing significant is built on compromise with yourself. The people who achieve more, who feel more fulfilled, who command respect, and who live intentionally, are the ones who draw their line clearly and hold it without wavering. They understand that life does not improve by chance. It improves by choice. That choice starts with deciding what you will no longer accept. This decision is your starting point. Stand firm in it. Act on it daily. Protect it against doubt and distraction. Over time, your life will reflect the standards you have set. The results will be undeniable. Your confidence will grow. Your focus will sharpen. Your opportunities will expand. Your relationships will strengthen. Your health and energy will improve. Every area of your life will change because you refuse to accept less. Nothing in life changes until you decide to change it. Begin now. Decide today what you will no longer accept. Commit to that decision with action and refuse to settle for anything less than the life you deserve. This is how standards rise. This is how lives transform. This is how you take control of your future.
Chapter 2. Stop betraying yourself for comfort or approval. Every person faces a silent struggle every day. It comes in the form of choices that seem easy, comfortable, or socially safe, but slowly erode the potential you were meant to reach. Comfort is not neutral. It is often a form of betrayal if it keeps you from becoming the best version of yourself. Approval from others is tempting because it feels like validation, but it can be dangerous if it leads you to act against your own standards and desires. The moment you choose comfort or approval over your growth, you start trading pieces of your future for temporary ease. Every small compromise adds up, and before long, the life you are living feels smaller than the one you know is possible. Betraying yourself is rarely dramatic. It does not announce itself with alarms or warnings. It shows up in quiet moments of decision. It is saying yes to distractions instead of tasks that matter. It is saying yes to people or activities that drain your energy instead of nourish it. It is staying silent when honesty is required, avoiding confrontation to keep things comfortable, and bending your actions to fit someone else's expectations. These choices feel harmless individually, but collectively, they lower your self-respect, weaken your confidence, and delay your growth. The first step in stopping this self-betrayal is awareness. You must notice the moments when you choose ease over effort, safety over authenticity, or popularity over integrity. These moments are they hide in hesitation before speaking your truth, in delays before starting important work, in agreeing to something you do not believe in just to avoid conflict. Awareness allows you to see the patterns clearly. Without awareness, betrayal becomes automatic, and the consequences invisible until they are severe. Next, you need to understand why comfort and approval are so compelling. Comfort feels safe because it reduces immediate stress. It is easy to stay in a familiar routine or avoid challenges. Approval feels rewarding because humans are wired to seek acceptance. Recognition and acceptance release chemicals in the brain that make us feel good momentarily. The problem is these feelings are fleeting, and the decisions made to gain them often come at the expense of your long-term vision. Understanding why you are tempted helps you create the distance needed to make deliberate choices instead of impulsive ones. Choosing growth over comfort is a skill that requires practice. It is uncomfortable at first. Your body resists, your mind hesitates, and doubt creeps in. You might feel restless when you pass up immediate pleasure for long-term benefit. That restlessness is not a signal to give up. It is proof that you are moving in the right direction. Comfort feels familiar because it is predictable. Growth feels unfamiliar because it challenges your current patterns, but the results are worth the discomfort. Approval from others is a subtle trap. It can feel like support, but when it leads you to compromise your own values, it becomes a form of control that you allow someone else to have over your life. People may resist your standards or question your choices, but prioritizing their approval over your integrity slowly erodes self-trust. Every time you act to please someone else rather than follow your own convictions, you send a message to yourself that your values are negotiable. That is dangerous for personal growth. Freedom begins when you stop allowing others to define your worth. It is not easy to resist the lure of approval, especially when it comes from people you care about or authority figures. That is why it is necessary to create clear, non-negotiable boundaries for yourself. Decide what behaviors, standards, and choices are essential to your integrity. When someone asks you to compromise them, you respond with clarity, not defensiveness. Boundaries protect your sense of self and make it easier to act consistently. Acting consistently builds trust in yourself, and that trust becomes a foundation for confidence, resilience, and independence. The process of aligning your actions with your highest self also includes understanding your motivations. When you examine why you make certain choices, you uncover hidden fears, desires, and insecurities that drive behavior. Perhaps you procrastinate because failure feels safer than effort. Perhaps you conform because rejection feels worse than disagreement. Perhaps you overextend yourself to gain praise. By identifying these underlying forces, you gain the power to redirect your behavior toward long-term goals rather than short-term comfort. Knowledge about your own motives is not judgment, it is empowerment. Self-honesty is critical in this process. You cannot stop betraying yourself if you justify every compromise. Rationalizations feel comfortable, but they are illusions that delay growth. A quiet, honest assessment of your choices exposes the small betrayals that accumulate into major setbacks. Each time you recognize a compromise, you are presented with an opportunity to correct it. Awareness paired with decisive action is what builds integrity. Action is the antidote to self-betrayal. Decisions without follow-through are meaningless. Every day, choose the harder right instead of the easier wrong. Complete tasks that push your abilities rather than avoid them. Speak your truth even if it challenges someone else's expectation. Act in alignment with your values consistently, and you will build momentum that reinforces your self-respect. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence makes the next difficult choice easier. This is the psychology of integrity in action. Comfort often appears in the form of excuses. You tell yourself that you are too tired, too busy, or too inexperienced to take the next step. You delay important decisions until conditions feel ideal. Conditions never feel ideal. Waiting for perfect timing is another form of self-betrayal. Action in the presence of discomfort, uncertainty, and fear is what separates those who grow from those who stagnate. You must be willing to act despite discomfort. Discomfort is temporary. Regret lasts much longer. Approval also disguises itself in social media, public opinion, and peer pressure. Seeking likes, praise, or agreement from others often drives people to compromise principles without noticing it. Awareness of these pressures allows you to step back and evaluate whether your choices serve your own growth or someone else's expectation. Freedom grows when you stop making decisions to satisfy external validation. You reclaim authority over your own life when self-respect becomes the measure for your actions. Self-discipline is a necessary partner in resisting comfort and approval. Discipline is not punishment. It is a practice of choosing what aligns with your values over what feels easy. Every time you choose effort, persistence, and focus over ease, you strengthen your capacity to live according to your highest standards. Discipline reinforces identity. Identity reinforces action. The two feed each other in a cycle that elevates every area of life. There will be moments of doubt. You may question whether the discomfort is worth it or whether the sacrifice is justified. During these moments, remind yourself that the life you desire is not built on comfort. Comfort preserves the present. It rarely creates the future. Growth requires action, patience, and sometimes temporary struggle. Every choice to prioritize integrity over ease contributes to long-term achievement and satisfaction. Learning to stop betraying yourself also improves relationships. When you act consistently with your values, you communicate honesty, reliability, and trustworthiness. Others may initially resist this new firmness because it challenges old patterns, but over time people respect the clarity and consistency of your actions. Relationships thrive when people know they can rely on your integrity, and influence grows naturally, without manipulation or coercion. Emotional resilience strengthens as well. When you stop seeking approval and prioritize your own growth, you develop a steadiness that is noticeable in your energy, behavior, and responses. You become less reactive to criticism, rejection, or conflict. You respond deliberately instead of reacting impulsively. This is the essence of emotional maturity, and it creates freedom and stability in every aspect of life. Your choices define your identity more than your intentions ever will. Every compromise sends a signal to your mind about who you are. When you betray yourself, you teach your mind to tolerate lower standards. When you act in alignment with your highest values, you teach your mind that you are capable, committed, and worthy.
Over time, your identity solidifies around the actions you consistently take. This is why self-respect and integrity are non-negotiable for lasting growth. Stop betraying yourself by designing your life intentionally. Set schedules, habits, and daily routines that reflect your priorities. Allocate energy toward meaningful tasks rather than fleeting pleasure. Honestly, act courageously, and honor your word. Each decision in alignment with your highest self compounds over time into a powerful, unshakable sense of self-worth. Habits become the infrastructure of character. Character becomes the foundation for success. Reflection is essential. At the end of each day, examine moments where comfort or approval influenced your decisions. Were there instances where you acted for ease or to satisfy others at the expense of your own goals? Identify them without judgment and create strategies to respond differently next time. Continuous reflection and adjustment is how consistency and progress are maintained. This practice also sharpens awareness, making betrayal less likely over time. Accountability partners can help, but the first accountability is internal. You must honor your commitments to yourself above all else. External accountability is temporary. Self-accountability lasts a lifetime. When your behavior aligns with your intentions consistently, internal trust grows. Trust in yourself becomes a powerful motivator and stabilizing force. You no longer rely on external validation because your self-respect fuels your actions. Courage is the companion of this process. Courage to face discomfort, speak your truth, act against resistance, and persist when results are not immediate. Courage is not absence of fear, it is action despite fear. By acting courageously each day, you reinforce that your life is directed by your values, not convenience or the opinions of others. The results of stopping self-betrayal are profound. Confidence rises because you know that your actions are consistent with your beliefs. Clarity emerges because your decisions are guided by internal standards, not external pressures. Energy increases because you no longer expend effort pleasing others unnecessarily. Relationships deepen because honesty and integrity form a solid foundation. Opportunity expand because people recognize reliability and trustworthiness. Every area of life benefits from alignment between your actions and your highest self. In the long term, refusing to betray yourself establishes freedom. Freedom to pursue goals without compromise. Freedom to speak honestly. Freedom to make choices without external influence. Freedom to live intentionally and authentically. Life becomes more satisfying, more empowering, and more fulfilling because every decision is made in service of your potential rather than someone else's approval or the comfort of ease. The journey is not without challenge. Comfort and approval are persuasive forces. They will appear at every turn, attempting to lure you back into compromise. The measure of growth is not whether they appear, but whether you act in spite of them. Every choice to honor yourself strengthens your ability to act with integrity the next time. Strength compounds with every conscious decision, every moment of courage, and every instance of self-respect. Ultimately, your life is a reflection of the decisions you make when no one is watching. Stopping the betrayal of your own potential starts in those private moments. It grows into habits, identity, and outcomes that demonstrate clarity, resilience, and alignment. The more consistently you act in line with your values, the more effortless it becomes to resist comfort and approval. You build a life that is strong, intentional, and fulfilling because you chose yourself over temporary ease or external validation. Every choice matters, every action builds momentum. Every refusal to settle for convenience or external approval reinforces the life you deserve. Start today by recognizing one moment where you can act for your growth, rather than comfort, one choice where you can honor your values rather than seek approval. Then repeat it tomorrow and the day after. Consistency, awareness, courage, and self-respect compound into a life of integrity, confidence, and empowerment. This is the path to living fully without compromise.
Chapter 3. Train your mind to crave effort over ease. Most people spend their lives searching for the easy route. They look for shortcuts, quick fixes, and paths that require the least effort. It feels natural because effort is uncomfortable. Effort demands focus, persistence, and patience. It challenges your comfort zone. But the truth is, life rewards those who embrace effort rather than avoid it. Every person who has achieved something meaningful did so by consistently choosing effort over ease. This is not a theory. It is a fact of human growth and accomplishment. The mind can be trained to seek effort, the same way it can be conditioned to crave comfort. That training begins with awareness and intentional action. The first step is recognizing how much the mind resists effort. When you are faced with a task that demands focus, physical energy, or emotional investment, your brain often signals resistance. It produces excuses, distractions, and rationalizations to avoid work. This is not weakness. It is a survival mechanism. The mind associates comfort with safety, ease with reward. Understanding this response allows you to intervene deliberately. You are not fighting your mind. You are redirecting it. Awareness alone is not enough. You must start practicing choosing effort in small, controlled ways. Begin with daily tasks that require more focus than usual. Push yourself to complete projects before the deadline. Take the extra step in learning a new skill or improving an existing one. Each time you do something that demands effort, your mind experiences a small reward beyond the task itself. It starts to realize that effort brings satisfaction, growth, and accomplishment. This process rewires your perception, shifting your craving from immediate comfort to meaningful challenge. The craving for effort develops through consistency. One day of pushing yourself is not enough. The brain needs repeated experiences to form new patterns. When you consistently embrace hard work, your mind stops fearing effort as something negative. You start to see it as the natural path to results. Effort begins to feel familiar, even desirable. Your energy aligns with purpose rather than impulse. You start to experience the deep satisfaction that comes from knowing you are doing what matters, even when it is difficult. To train the mind, you also need to focus on intentional discomfort. Seek situations that stretch your limits and require persistence. Physical training, mental challenges, and disciplined routines all provide opportunities for this practice. When you push past fatigue, distraction, or hesitation, you teach your mind that discomfort is temporary and growth is permanent. Effort becomes a signal of progress rather than a burden. Over time, you crave the challenge because your mind associates it with forward movement. It is critical to recognize the rewards of effort beyond external outcomes. Many people work hard only to measure success in money, status, or recognition. These rewards are fleeting. The deeper reward is the internal sense of capability and confidence that comes from completing what you set out to do, even when it is hard. Every time you choose effort over ease, you reinforce your identity as someone who acts decisively, persists under pressure, and delivers results. This identity is what sustains long-term success. Discipline is the tool that transforms intention into habit. Discipline is not punishment. It is the bridge between desire and action. By creating daily routines that require deliberate effort, you train your mind to expect and embrace hard work. Start with small, achievable actions that demand consistency. Over time, as these actions compound, your mind begins to crave the structure and challenge they provide. Habits formed through discipline eliminate the struggle of decision-making and make effort the default path. Another critical aspect is understanding your motivations. Ask yourself why you want to accomplish a particular task. If the reason is fleeting or superficial, the mind will resist. Find deep, meaningful motivations that connect to your long-term goals and values. When the purpose is strong, effort becomes a natural response. The brain recognizes alignment between action and meaning, reducing internal conflict and increasing perseverance. Effort is no longer a chore. It becomes a necessary step toward fulfillment. Environment plays a significant role in shaping the craving for effort. Surround yourself with people who value persistence, focus, and hard work. Remove distractions, temptations, and influences that encourage ease. The mind adapts to its surroundings. By immersing yourself in environments that honor effort, you normalize persistence and make it easier for your brain to choose the harder, more productive path. Supportive communities reinforce your new patterns and strengthen your commitment. Visualization is a powerful tool for conditioning the mind. Spend time imagining the sense of accomplishment that comes from completing a difficult task. Feel the pride, satisfaction, and clarity that result from effort applied consistently. This mental rehearsal trains the brain to anticipate positive emotions from action rather than comfort. Your mind begins to seek the effort that delivers these feelings instead of avoiding it for temporary pleasure. Avoiding instant gratification is essential. Modern life is full of distractions that offer immediate pleasure at the cost of long-term growth. Social media, passive entertainment, and excessive convenience are all forms of comfort that compete with effort. Training the mind requires resisting these temptations intentionally. Every time you choose effort instead of ease, you strengthen your self-control and reinforce the craving for meaningful challenge. Emotional resilience develops naturally through repeated effort. When you face tasks that require persistence, your emotions are tested. Frustration, fatigue, and self-doubt emerge. By working through these emotions, rather than surrendering to them, you teach your mind that challenges are manageable. Each experience builds confidence and reduces fear of future obstacles. Effort becomes less intimidating as you learn that discomfort does not equal failure. Effort also sharpens focus. The mind craves clarity, and hard work demands attention. Every time you concentrate on a challenging task, without distraction, you strengthen neural pathways associated with discipline and focus. This neurological reinforcement makes future effort more rewarding. The mind begins to anticipate the satisfaction of deep work instead of the temporary pleasure of ease. Focus and effort are mutually reinforcing, creating a powerful cycle of progress. Self-reflection is necessary to strengthen this craving. Review your daily actions and identify moments when you avoided effort. Analyze the consequences and the feelings associated with those decisions. Then plan corrective actions for the future. Reflection trains your mind to recognize patterns of avoidance and to seek improvement actively. Awareness combined with action accelerates the development of effort-oriented thinking. Effort is also a matter of mindset. The belief that hard work leads to growth must be internalized. People who succeed consistently do not see effort as punishment. They see it as the vehicle through which goals are achieved and personal strength is developed. When this mindset becomes ingrained, effort is no longer resisted. The mind begins to seek it as a pathway to mastery, fulfillment, and independence. Celebrating small victories reinforces the pattern. Each completed task, each challenge overcome, and each moment of persistence provides feedback that the mind interprets as reward. By acknowledging these achievements, you condition the brain to associate effort with positive emotions rather than discomfort. Over time, the anticipation of these internal rewards becomes a stronger motivator than temporary ease. Training the mind to crave effort also requires patience. Transformation does not happen overnight. You will encounter resistance, setbacks, and moments of doubt. These moments test commitment and resilience.
When they arise, remind yourself that the process is cumulative. Every choice to persist, every act of discipline, every effortful decision compounds over time, building a mind that naturally seeks challenges and values accomplishment over comfort. Physical habits support mental conditioning. Exercise, disciplined sleep, and structured routines reinforce the association between effort and reward. When your body becomes accustomed to consistent effort, the mind follows.
Chapter 4. Act with self-respect before confidence ever appears. Self-respect is the foundation on which every other form of confidence is built. Most people wait to feel capable, accomplished, or admired before they act with dignity, but that is the wrong order. Confidence is not the starting point. It is the result of consistent behavior that honors your own value. You cannot wait to feel confident to act decisively, set boundaries, or demand better for yourself. Confidence follows action, but action must be grounded in self-respect. Every choice, every gesture, every interaction should reflect the belief that you are worthy of effort, integrity, and fairness, even before your inner confidence catches up. The first step is acknowledging that you have a choice in every situation. You do not have to allow others to define your worth or dictate your actions. Acting with self-respect means deciding what you will accept and what you will not, independent of how others behave. It requires a clear recognition that your value is inherent, not granted by approval or circumstances. This is not arrogance, it is honesty. When you act in alignment with your inherent value, your behavior naturally conveys confidence before the feeling itself emerges. Self-respect shows up in the way you treat yourself. Many people underestimate the power of small habits in shaping self-esteem. The way you speak to yourself, the promises you keep to yourself, and the attention you give to your health, appearance, and growth all communicate whether you value yourself. Neglecting these areas signals the mind that your worth is negotiable, and this undermines confidence. When you care for yourself, honor your commitments, and set boundaries, confidence becomes inevitable because your actions validate your value. Boundaries are an essential expression of self-respect. Saying no to demands that conflict with your principles, refusing to tolerate disrespect, and protecting your time and energy are acts of honor toward yourself. People who understand their own value do not wait to feel powerful before enforcing boundaries. They act consistently, demonstrating to themselves and others that their standards are non-negotiable. Every refusal to compromise your principles reinforces a sense of worth and establishes a framework for genuine confidence. Consistency is a critical aspect. Confidence that emerges sporadically is weak and unreliable. Acting with self-respect consistently, even in small matters, builds a foundation that your mind trusts. When you honor your values day after day, the brain begins to internalize the message, "I am worthy, I am capable, and I deserve respect." This internalization precedes emotional confidence. The mind catches up to behavior, not the other way around. Self-respect is also about speaking with honesty and clarity. Many people defer, hesitate, or dilute their words out of fear of judgment or rejection. Acting respectfully toward yourself means communicating your thoughts and feelings directly, without distortion or apology for your existence. When your words reflect your values and your truth, your posture, tone, and presence align with that message. Confidence emerges naturally because the integrity of your communication signals competence and self-worth before your emotions feel it. Physical presence reinforces self-respect. Standing tall, maintaining an attentive posture, and moving with deliberate purpose send signals to your own mind as well as to others. The body and mind are connected, and physical actions influence emotional state. When you carry yourself with dignity, your brain registers a sense of control, order, and self-value, which sets the stage for authentic confidence to develop over time. Self-respect requires accountability.
Acting with integrity, taking responsibility for your choices, and acknowledging mistakes without evasion are all behaviors that strengthen your inner foundation. Confidence does not need to precede responsibility. In fact, responsibility reinforces. Each time you own your actions, make amends, or uphold a commitment, you create proof that you are reliable, capable, and worthy. This proof accumulates into a powerful internal sense of confidence. The mind often resists this process because acting with self-respect before feeling confident feels vulnerable. Fear of rejection, failure, or criticism can push you toward compromise. The key is to act despite discomfort. Vulnerability is not weakness when it is paired with self-respect. It is a conscious choice to honor your values, even when your emotions are uncertain. Each act of courage in alignment with self-respect trains the mind to trust itself, gradually replacing fear with genuine confidence. Prioritizing self-respect also improves decision-making. When choices are grounded in your value system, clarity emerges. You stop over-analyzing for the sake of approval or avoidance. Decisions become simpler because your standards provide guidance. Acting according to these standards strengthens your sense of agency. Confidence emerges as a natural byproduct because your decisions consistently reflect competence, fairness, and self-acknowledgement. Self-respect includes protecting your energy. It is refusing to engage in situations, conversations, or relationships that diminish your focus or harm your integrity. This is not selfishness, it is preservation. People who wait to feel confident often allow unnecessary distractions, conflict, and negative influences to drain their energy. Acting with self-respect establishes limits that safeguard your potential. Confidence follows because your life becomes aligned with your values rather than dictated by external chaos. Discipline reinforces self-respect. Completing tasks, honoring commitments, and adhering to routines are demonstrations of respect toward yourself. The brain learns through repeated action, not intention alone. When your behavior is disciplined, your mind internalizes the notion that you are capable, reliable, and worthy. Over time, emotional confidence catches up with consistent, deliberate action, creating a feedback loop that strengthens self-esteem, competence, and personal authority. Acting with self-respect also influences your relationships. People notice behavior more than words. When you interact from a position of integrity, clarity, and firmness, others adjust their expectations accordingly. You do not need to seek validation because your presence communicates your value. Respectful action commands respect in return. Confidence grows naturally when your interactions consistently reflect a clear standard of self-worth. Patience is necessary. Acting with self-respect does not produce immediate emotional confidence. The mind requires repetition, reinforcement, and proof. Every time you choose your values over convenience, your self-trust increases. Each completed commitment strengthens the inner belief that you are capable of holding to your standard. Over time, confidence is not an abstract feeling. It becomes a lived reality, shaped by consistent, principled action. Self-reflection complements behavior. Take time to examine where you are compromising self-respect and how you respond to challenging situations. Reflection is not judgment, but a tool to adjust and strengthen your alignment with your values. Awareness allows for more deliberate action, reducing the likelihood of choices that undermine your dignity. Every reflection and corrective action further bridges the gap between self-respect and emergent confidence. Effortful learning enhances this process. Growth, skill development, and mastery require sustained effort. Acting with self-respect means committing to continuous improvement, even when the process is difficult. Each step taken in pursuit of excellence reinforces internal worth. Confidence emerges as proof of capability and commitment rather than superficial reassurance. The mind begins to associate effort, perseverance, and integrity with personal value. Self-respect demands courage in boundaries. Saying no, refusing to tolerate disrespect, and holding firm to principles often produces discomfort, confrontation, or tension.
Chapter 5. Create non-negotiable rules for your daily behavior. Every successful person has a set of rules they refuse to compromise. These are not casual suggestions or flexible ideas. They are firm, non-negotiable standards that guide daily behavior. Your habits, your choices, and your interactions should all reflect these rules. Without them, life becomes reactive, scattered, and unplanned. Non-negotiable rules act as a compass that keeps you moving in the direction of your highest potential. They eliminate indecision, reduce wasted energy, and create a structure that supports consistent growth. They are the foundation of self-discipline, respect, and long-term success. The first step is deciding what matters most to you, what behaviors reflect your values, and what actions are essential to your goals. Non-negotiable rules come from clarity about your principles. You cannot create effective rules if your values are undefined or inconsistent. Take time to reflect on what truly matters. Identify the actions that, if performed consistently, will lead to your desired outcomes. These rules are personal. They are not copied from others or dictated by trends. They are your contract with yourself to live intentionally and with integrity. Once your rules are defined, write them down. Documentation makes them real. A rule held in your mind is vulnerable to hesitation and rationalization. Putting it in writing signals commitment and provides a tangible reference when decisions are difficult. This practice turns ideas into actionable behavior. Review your list daily to reinforce awareness and accountability. Repetition strengthens commitment, helping your mind internalize these rules until they become automatic. Non-negotiable rules must cover the core areas of your life: physical health, mental clarity, emotional control, relationships, work, and personal growth. All benefit from firm standards. For example, committing to a set time for exercise, meditation, or learning ensures consistent development. Limiting negative influences, gossip, or toxic habits safeguards your mental and emotional energy. Establishing rules for your work ensures focus, efficiency, and results. Each area of life strengthened by rules compounds into overall improvement. Discipline is essential in enforcing non-negotiable rules. Knowing your rules is not enough. You must act on them consistently. Discipline is the bridge between intention and execution. The first few times you enforce a rule may be uncomfortable. Your mind may resist because it prefers convenience and immediate pleasure. You may feel tempted to skip, delay, or compromise. That resistance is a test. Every time you follow your rule despite discomfort, your discipline grows, and so does your ability to live intentionally. Rules remove the need for constant decision-making. Life without boundaries relies on impulsive choices, fleeting motivation, or external influence. Non-negotiable rules reduce mental fatigue because they predefine your action. Your energy is freed for meaningful work instead of wasted on trivial deliberations. This structure produces consistency, builds trust in yourself, and accelerates progress. The mind thrives in an environment of clarity, where rules guide behavior instead of indecision or distraction. Accountability is another critical aspect. Rules only have power when enforced consistently. Track your behavior, measure your progress, and review your adherence. Self-accountability ensures integrity when external supervision is absent. Each time you honor your rule, you reinforce self-respect and trust. Each time you break it, identify why and create strategies to prevent repetition. Accountability transforms rules from theoretical ideas into real instruments of growth and transformation. Rules also protect your time and energy. Without clear boundaries, life is full of distractions, unnecessary obligations, and wasted effort. By defining non-negotiable behaviors, you establish limits that safeguard your focus. Saying no becomes easier because the rules justify your decision. Priorities become clear, reducing stress and increasing efficiency. You act deliberately rather than reactively, creating space for high-value actions that contribute directly to your goals. Clarity about non-negotiable rules strengthens decision-making under pressure. When confronted with challenges, uncertainty, or temptation, you can refer to your rules as a guide. This removes doubt, reduces emotional conflict, and increases confidence. You no longer need to rely solely on fleeting motivation or willpower. The rules provide an automatic framework for behavior. Acting from a position of certainty produces results and reinforces self-respect. Rules shape identity. Every action aligned with your standards sends a message to your mind about who you are. Following your rules consistently tells your brain that you are disciplined, capable, and committed. Breaking a rule signals the opposite. Identity forms over time through repeated action. Non-negotiable standards ensure that your habits, decisions, and behaviors align with the person you intend to become. Confidence and self-respect naturally grow from consistent adherence to these rules. Emotional regulation improves when you enforce rules. The mind resists structure initially because it prefers flexibility and instant gratification. Each time you adhere to your standards despite discomfort, your emotional resilience increases. You learn to manage frustration, resistance, and temptation without compromising progress. Emotional stability becomes a natural outcome of consistent rule following, allowing clearer thinking, better focus, and improved interactions with others. Rules create predictability in your life. Predictable routines reduce anxiety and indecision. You spend less time reacting and more time acting with intention. Predictability reinforces confidence because your actions align consistently with your standards. People notice consistency in behavior and respond with respect and trust. By living according to non-negotiable rules, you create an environment that supports growth, stability, and influence. Flexibility exists within the structure of rules, but compromise does not. Rules are non-negotiable in principle, but can be adjusted intentionally when circumstances change. You are not rigid, you are deliberate. Every adjustment is thoughtful, not reactive. This distinction ensures that rules empower you rather than enslave you. Acting with intention rather than reaction preserves your energy and maintains momentum toward your goal. Rules also promote long-term vision. Daily decisions, made without guidance, often prioritize immediate comfort or convenience. Non-negotiable behaviors force alignment with long-term objectives. Every choice becomes an opportunity to reinforce progress rather than undermine it. Small, consistent actions compound over time, producing exponential results in personal growth, skill development, and achievement. The process of creating rules requires honesty and reflection. Examine areas of life where you feel stagnant, frustrated, or compromised. Identify patterns of behavior that hinder growth. Determine which habits, decisions, or reactions are non-negotiable in moving toward the life you desire. This self-assessment produces clarity and ensures that the rules address meaningful priorities rather than superficial or temporary preferences. Non-negotiable rules reduce reliance on motivation. Motivation is fleeting, discipline is permanent. When your mind is trained to follow standards, regardless of emotional state, progress becomes consistent. You no longer wait for inspiration or permission from circumstance. Rules create a steady framework for achievement. Motivation becomes a bonus rather than a necessity. Results are driven by structure, not emotion. Rules enhance productivity.
Clear standards prevent procrastination, distraction, and indecision. Each action is intentional and purposeful. By eliminating ambiguity, you focus energy on tasks that produce meaningful outcomes. This approach maximizes efficiency while reinforcing self-trust. The mind develops a natural craving for disciplined action because it consistently leads to tangible progress. Non-negotiable rules also cultivate self-respect. Each time you follow a standard, your mind and body receive proof that your word matters and your life has structure. Self-respect grows from repeated acts of integrity and consistent. Confidence naturally follows because the brain internalizes the alignment between actions and values. This is how rules transform behavior into character. Social interactions improve when you live by rules. People respond to consistency, clarity, and integrity. By establishing non-negotiable behaviors for how you communicate, spend time, and engage with others, you create reliability and trust. Others notice that you honor your commitments and respect yourself. Influence increases naturally because your life communicates standards without force or demand. Reflection and evaluation are essential. Rules are not static, they are living agreements with yourself. Regularly review adherence, assess effectiveness, and adjust thoughtfully. Reflection ensures that your rules remain relevant and aligned with your evolving goals. It also provides feedback to refine discipline and strengthen your commitment. Awareness amplifies the impact of every non-negotiable standard. Every action counts. Non-negotiable rules work because small, consistent behaviors compound into significant results. Skipping one task or compromising a standard creates a ripple effect, while daily adherence produces momentum. This compounding principle applies across work, health, learning, relationships, and personal growth. Rules become the architecture of an intentional, high-performing life. By living according to non-negotiable rules, your life becomes predictable in the best way. You know how you will respond, what you will prioritize, and how you will act under pressure. Confidence grows because you are prepared, consistent, and principled. Self-respect strengthens because your behavior reflects values rather than impulses. Momentum accumulates as every decision aligns with standards. Challenges are inevitable. Temptations, fatigue, and external pressures will test your commitment. Acting according to rules despite resistance strengthens resilience. Each choice to adhere reinforces self-discipline, reduces susceptibility to distractions, and builds integrity. Over time, adherence becomes automatic, creating a life of effortless progress, grounded in conscious, deliberate choices. Ultimately, creating non-negotiable rules for your daily behavior is an act of empowerment. It gives clarity, direction, and control over your life. It eliminates indecision, strengthens self-respect, and nurtures confidence. Habits, decisions, and interactions align with your highest values. Success, fulfillment, and personal growth become inevitable by design. Rules provide the structure necessary to live intentionally, act consistently, and achieve extraordinary results. Every day is an opportunity to reinforce these rules. Each decision, action, and habit either strengthens or weakens them. Choosing to honor your standards consistently creates a life of order, progress, and integrity. Over time, your rules shape identity, behavior, and destiny. They make your values tangible and your potential achievable. Acting with discipline and consistency ensures that your life is guided by purpose rather than randomness.
Chapter 6. Feel discomfort fully instead of running from it. Most people spend their lives running from discomfort. They avoid situations that challenge them emotionally, mentally, and physically. They choose convenience over growth, safety over progress, and familiarity over potential. The problem is that discomfort is not an enemy. It is a sign that something important is happening. It is the signal that you are stepping beyond your previous limits and entering the territory where growth, resilience, and achievement are forged. Avoidance may feel easier in the moment, but it compounds over time, reinforcing fear, limitation, and stagnation. Learning to feel discomfort fully changes everything. The first step is recognizing when you are avoiding discomfort. Pay attention to the subtle signals your mind and body send. Hesitation, procrastination, self-doubt, and rationalization are all forms of avoidance. Emotional tension, restlessness, and physical unease often accompany the instinct to retreat. Awareness of these signs allows you to intercept the impulse to run and make a conscious choice to stay present. Discomfort is not permanent, but avoidance guarantees that growth is delayed. Feeling discomfort fully requires slowing down and observing your sensations. Notice the tightness in your chest, the rapid heartbeat, or the nagging thoughts of doubt. Label what you feel without judgment. When you allow yourself to experience the full spectrum of the emotion, you strip it of its power to control you. Avoidance amplifies fear because the mind imagines worst-case scenarios, but presence diminishes them. Sitting with discomfort teaches the brain that it can survive the moment without retreating, creating emotional resilience. Action is essential in this process. Feeling discomfort does not mean passively enduring it. It means engaging with it intentionally. Take steps toward the situation that produces unease, even if the actions are small. Each step reinforces courage and builds tolerance for difficulty. Avoidance reinforces weakness, while deliberate action strengthens confidence, clarity, and capability. The more you act despite discomfort, the more your mind associates challenging situations with opportunity instead of threat. Understanding the temporary nature of discomfort is critical. Every moment of unease eventually passes if confronted rather than avoided. Fear, pain, and doubt are not permanent states. They are signals to move intentionally, not retreat. By acknowledging that discomfort is temporary, you reduce the urgency to escape. This perspective shifts your experience from reactive avoidance to deliberate engagement, allowing you to harness the moment as a tool for growth rather than a threat to safety. The body and mind are connected in how discomfort is experienced. Physical tension, shallow breathing, or restless energy often accompany emotional challenges. Addressing these sensations directly enhances your capacity to stay present. Deep, controlled breathing, slow movement, and grounding techniques help maintain composure while confronting discomfort. When the body is stable, the mind gains clarity, allowing you to engage with the situation more effectively rather than reacting impulsively. Mental framing is a powerful tool for embracing discomfort. View challenges as opportunities to learn, develop, and test your limits. Shift focus from the immediate difficulty to the long-term benefit. Every moment of unease becomes a rehearsal for strength, resilience, and capability. Your mind begins to see discomfort as a necessary and productive part of growth, rather than a warning to retreat. This mental shift transforms resistance into motivation and hesitation into action. Exposure to discomfort must be gradual and intentional. Start with small challenges that push your boundaries slightly beyond your comfort zone. Repeated practice strengthens the neural pathways that associate challenge with growth. Over time, the mind becomes accustomed to tension and uncertainty, reducing anxiety and increasing confidence. Incremental exposure ensures that facing discomfort does not overwhelm but progressively builds capacity. Self-reflection enhances the process. After experiencing discomfort fully, take time to evaluate your response. Did you retreat or engage? Were you present or distracted? What did you learn about yourself in the moment? Reflection reinforces awareness and accountability. It allows you to integrate the lessons of each experience into future behavior, gradually increasing your tolerance
and ability to handle more significant challenges. Discomfort often reveals areas of personal weakness or resistance. Avoidance masks these areas temporarily, but confronting them exposes the gaps that must be addressed. Embrace these revelations as opportunities to strengthen skill, character, and perspective. Each moment of unease is a mirror showing where improvement is needed. By facing discomfort, you gain clarity about your growth path, making future challenges less intimidating and more manageable. Consistency is key. Facing discomfort sporadically does little to change long-term patterns. Daily or frequent engagement with situations that produce unease rewires the mind. Each deliberate act of tolerance builds resilience, emotional intelligence, and self-trust. Over time, you develop the capacity to handle higher levels of stress, pressure, and challenge without fear. What once triggered avoidance becomes manageable, and growth becomes habitual. Discomfort is a natural part of meaningful relationships. Difficult conversations, honest feedback, and boundary setting often create temporary unease. Avoiding these moments prevents connection, clarity, and trust. By facing relational discomfort fully, you foster stronger bonds, mutual respect, and authentic communication. Emotional courage in interactions strengthens influence and demonstrates integrity, signaling that you prioritize values and growth over convenience. Physical challenges are another arena for practicing this skill. Exercise, physical labor, or endurance tasks produce strain and fatigue. Most people seek to avoid these sensations, but embracing them builds stamina, confidence, and mental toughness. The body learns that it can withstand effort and tension, while the mind internalizes the lesson that temporary discomfort leads to measurable improvement and long-term benefit. Decision-making improves through embracing discomfort. Difficult choices often produce tension, uncertainty, or fear. Avoiding them leads to procrastination, regret, and missed opportunities. Confronting discomfort in decision-making strengthens clarity, reduces hesitation, and fosters assertiveness. The mind begins to associate discomfort with opportunity, and decisive action becomes more natural and confident over time. Emotional regulation strengthens through repeated exposure. Confronting difficult feelings without avoidance teaches patience, composure, and resilience. Frustration, sadness, or anxiety loses its grip when it is met with attention and presence, rather than denial or escape. Each experience enhances your capacity to navigate stress calmly, improving overall mental and emotional health. Facing discomfort fully builds authenticity. Avoidance often leads to hiding, pretending, or compromising values for convenience. Presence in difficult moments allows you to act with integrity and remain aligned with your principles. Authenticity strengthens self-respect, reinforces identity, and builds trust with others. People respond to individuals who navigate challenges openly and confidently, creating respect, influence, and meaningful connection. Preparation enhances your capacity to handle discomfort. Planning for challenges, rehearsing responses, and anticipating obstacles reduce fear while increasing control. Preparation does not eliminate discomfort, but makes it manageable. Each prepared action reinforces competence and self-trust, making future moments of unease easier to navigate. Discomfort becomes an expected part of the process, rather than a signal to retreat. Mindset shifts accelerate growth. Instead of labeling discomfort as bad or threatening, see it as informative. It provides insight into limits, priorities, and areas for improvement. Reframing discomfort as a messenger rather than an adversary reduces fear and increases engagement. The mind learns to welcome tension as a necessary step toward mastery, resilience, and achievement. Every act of facing discomfort amplifies courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the choice to act despite it. Each time you experience unease without avoidance, your courage compounds. The next challenge feels less intimidating, and your capacity for risk, action, and growth increases. Courage and confidence grow together as repeated exposure trains the mind and body to tolerate, manage, and thrive under pressure. Self-discipline is reinforced through discomfort. Choosing action over avoidance requires willpower, focus, and determination. Discipline is strengthened as you confront unease in all areas of life: physical, emotional, mental, and relational. Each success reinforces the mindset that discomfort is manageable and temporary, while retreat leads only to stagnation. Habitual engagement with challenge becomes a cornerstone of personal growth. Discomfort is also a teacher of patience. Immediate resolution is rare in meaningful challenges. By sitting with tension and resisting the urge to flee, you cultivate endurance and long-term thinking. The mind learns that lasting results often require sustained effort, and a temporary unease is a necessary part of the journey. Patience, developed in these moments, translates into more deliberate, thoughtful, and strategic action. Self-awareness deepens as discomfort is embraced. You discover patterns of resistance, habitual avoidance, and emotional triggers. Recognizing these patterns allows you to intervene intentionally, improving behavior and decision. Every moment fully experienced without retreat increases understanding of personal tendencies, strengths, and areas for improvement. Awareness guides growth and reinforces resilience. Facing discomfort creates freedom. Avoidance chains you to fear, indecision, and limitation. Presence allows you to act without being dictated by emotion, impulse, or external pressure. Freedom emerges from the knowledge that you can handle challenge, uncertainty, and tension. The mind internalizes capability, reducing reliance on external reassurance or avoidance behaviors. Over time, discomfort loses its power to paralyze. The mind adapts to the repeated experience of unease paired with deliberate action. What once triggered panic, avoidance, or doubt becomes an opportunity for growth, learning, and mastery. The brain associates discomfort with progress, not threat. This rewiring transforms personal and professional life, making challenges predictable, manageable, and productive. Ultimately, fully experiencing discomfort is a skill that strengthens every area of life. Career, health, relationships, and personal growth all benefit from the capacity to remain present under tension. Emotional resilience, decision-making, courage, and confidence are natural byproducts. Avoidance limits potential, presence multiplies it. Choosing to feel discomfort intentionally transforms weakness into strength, hesitation into action, and fear into clarity. Discomfort is not permanent, it is temporary, informative, and manageable. Each moment fully felt without escape builds character, competence, and confidence. Life rewards those who do not shrink from challenge, but engage with it directly. Every experience, every tension, and every uneasy moment is an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more capable. The mind, body, and spirit adapt to repeated exposure. Fear diminishes, patience strengthens, and resilience accumulates. Each choice to face discomfort reinforces identity, aligns action with values, and produces confidence that cannot be taken away. Avoidance only delays growth, while deliberate presence accelerates it. Over time, discomfort is no longer feared. It becomes the tool through which strength, freedom, and mastery are achieved. Life is built in the moments you resist fleeing. Discomfort, fully experienced, teaches lessons no comfort ever can. Your courage grows, your mind strengthens, and your capacity for achievement expands. Each instance of sitting with tension becomes evidence that you are capable, resilient, and prepared. By embracing discomfort intentionally, you reclaim control, foster growth, and shape a life defined by strength, clarity, and purposeful action.
Chapter 7. Choose actions that future you will thank you for. Every choice you make today shapes the life you will live tomorrow. The actions you take, The habits you form and the priorities you honor all accumulate into the reality that future you will experience. Many people focus only on what feels good now, chasing immediate satisfaction and comfort while ignoring the consequences for their future selves. This approach creates regret, frustration, and stagnation. Choosing actions that future you will thank you for is about intentionality, discipline, and foresight. It is about understanding that every small decision has a ripple effect, and the sum of those choices determines the quality of your life. The first step is awareness of consequences. Every action has both immediate and long-term outcomes. Eating poorly, skipping exercise, neglecting relationships, or procrastinating may feel harmless in the moment, but they accumulate into challenges, limitations, and missed opportunities. When you pause to consider the effect of your choices on your future self, you shift from impulsive behavior to deliberate action. Awareness creates a bridge between the present moment and the life you desire create. Clarity of values is essential. Future you benefits most when actions align with long-term priorities rather than short-term whims. Identify what truly matters: health, relationships, career, personal growth, and integrity. Every action should reflect a commitment to those priorities. When behavior is guided by core values, the path to a fulfilling life becomes clearer. Choices become simpler because they are filtered through a lens of purpose and significance rather than temporary desire. Planning is the next step. Actions that future you will thank you for rarely occur by accident. They require forethought, strategy, and discipline. Mapping out your goals, breaking them into achievable steps, and scheduling deliberate habits ensures that progress is consistent. Planning reduces wasted energy and avoids the trap of reactive living. It is not about controlling every moment, but about creating a framework that supports intentional growth. Self-discipline is the engine behind this process. Immediate impulses often conflict with long-term goals. The choice to act in alignment with the future self requires resisting temptation, staying focused, and prioritizing effort over comfort. Each disciplined choice reinforces self-respect and strengthens the connection between present actions and future rewards. Self-discipline transforms abstract goals into tangible outcomes, making the life you desire inevitable through consistent behavior. Habits play a critical role. Daily actions, repeated consistently, compound over time. Brushing your teeth, exercising, learning, saving money, or practicing emotional control may seem minor, but they accumulate into massive results over months and years. Habits are the bridge between intention and reality. By intentionally cultivating beneficial routines, you automate progress and reduce reliance on willpower. Future you reaps the benefits of these structured, consistent behaviors without needing to make constant conscious effort. Delayed gratification is a cornerstone principle. Choosing effort, restraint, and preparation over immediate pleasure is challenging, but it produces exponential results. Sacrificing short-term ease for long-term gain demonstrates foresight and maturity. Every act of patience strengthens character, resilience, and self-trust. Future you benefits not because of luck, but because present choices favor growth, stability, and value creation over convenience. Decision-making improves when guided by future focus. When facing choices, ask what action will bring long-term benefit rather than immediate satisfaction. Will this conversation strengthen a relationship? Will this task advance a goal? Will this purchase enhance my life, or merely provide temporary comfort? Filtering decisions through the lens of future reward aligns behavior with purpose, reduces regret, and fosters consistent progress. Accountability ensures that actions match intentions.
Keeping track of behavior, reviewing daily progress, and holding oneself responsible strengthens the connection between present effort and future outcome. Future you gains not only from the results of action, but also from the trust established between your intentions and execution. Accountability transforms abstract aspirations into measurable reality. Learning is an action future you will always thank you for. Acquiring skills, knowledge, and experience may feel uncomfortable, demanding, or tedious, but it equips you to navigate challenges and seize opportunities effectively. The mind, body, and career all benefit from continuous improvement. Education and skill building compound into confidence, opportunity, and independence, producing long-term security and empowerment. Financial choices matter profoundly. Spending wisely, saving, investing, and avoiding unnecessary debt creates stability and options for future life. Present indulgence may provide temporary pleasure, but careful financial planning ensures that future you has freedom, security, and opportunity. Every financial decision is a seed planted for later growth, and consistent, disciplined money management multiplies benefits over time. Health is a vital area where actions today shape tomorrow. Exercise, nutrition, rest, and stress management may feel inconvenient or secondary in the moment, but neglect creates long-term consequences. By prioritizing health now, you give future you energy, vitality, and the ability to pursue goals without limitation. The body is a long-term investment, and consistent care produces returns that influence every area of life. Relationships are equally shaped by deliberate action. Investing time, attention, and empathy into family, friends, and colleagues creates trust, connection, and support that future you will value immensely. Neglect, avoidance, or reactive behavior erodes bonds, producing loneliness and regret. Every meaningful conversation, act of kindness, or thoughtful gesture strengthens a network that sustains and enriches life over time. Time management is critical. Actions that waste time today accumulate into lost opportunities tomorrow. Future you will thank present you for creating structure, prioritizing meaningful tasks, and reducing distractions. Each hour spent intentionally is an investment that compounds. Efficient use of time produces clarity, results, and momentum that make the pursuit of long-term goals practical and achievable. Emotional mastery enhances this process. Learning to regulate impulses, manage frustration, and respond thoughtfully ensures that choices are aligned with long-term benefit. Emotional reactions often derail progress, leading to regret or poor outcome. By cultivating awareness and control, present you can make decisions that support growth, stability, and fulfillment. Future you experiences the reward of deliberate, measured, and effective action, rather than reactive chaos. Consistency amplifies all these effects. One good choice is valuable, but repeated choices create momentum. Habits, discipline, and foresight compound into a life that reflects intention, skill, and care. Future you benefits not from isolated moments of effort, but from persistent action that builds over weeks, months, and years. Consistency transforms potential into reality. Reflection strengthens alignment with future benefit. Daily evaluation of actions, progress, and behavior identifies patterns that either support or hinder long-term outcomes. By adjusting strategies, reinforcing strengths, and addressing weaknesses, you ensure that choices consistently benefit future self. Reflection transforms experience into wisdom and improves the probability of achieving meaningful results. Preparation enhances ability to act in ways that serve future self. Anticipating challenges, planning responses, and equipping yourself with knowledge, tools, and skills reduces risk and improves efficiency. Preparedness converts uncertainty into opportunity. Every step taken in preparation is an act of service to the person you will become. Courage is required. Choosing long-term benefit often involves short-term discomfort. Acting despite fear, hesitation, or inconvenience develops resilience, fortitude, and self-trust. Every courageous decision strengthens confidence, builds character, and demonstrates to the mind that discomfort is manageable. Future you experiences the accumulated effect of bravery as freedom, opportunity, and growth. Gratitude also strengthens the connection. Recognizing the value of present efforts and imagining the reward to come creates motivation and emotional reinforcement. Feeling the potential benefit to future self amplifies commitment and inspires action, even when challenges are present. Gratitude links effort with reward, making deliberate choices more compelling and sustaining. Prioritization ensures that actions align with meaningful impact. Not all tasks, relationships, or habits produce equivalent benefit for future self. Learn to distinguish between activities that compound long-term value and those that provide only immediate satisfaction. Focus on high-impact actions to maximize growth, achievement, and personal fulfillment. Avoiding procrastination is essential. Delay erodes potential benefits and creates unnecessary stress. Acting promptly, even on small steps, produces cumulative advantage over time. Every delayed action creates a gap between current and future potential. Conversely, immediate action strengthens self-trust, builds momentum, and ensures that future you has a stronger foundation. Self-awareness complements foresight. Understanding strengths, weaknesses, patterns, and triggers allows present you to make choices that anticipate challenges and optimize outcomes. Awareness ensures that actions support growth rather than undermine it, producing compounding benefits for future life. Resilience grows when future-focused choices become habitual. Each decision made with long-term benefit in mind builds capacity to endure, adapt, and thrive. Challenges encountered along the way become opportunities to refine judgment, develop skill, and reinforce consistency. Future you experiences the reward of a life built with foresight, discipline, and intentional action. Integrity ensures that actions today align with promises, commitments, and values. When behavior is congruent with principles, future self experiences the benefits of trust, reliability, and self-respect. Acting in alignment with integrity reinforces identity, reduces internal conflict, and produces consistency that compounds into lasting achievement. Knowledge accumulation is a form of investment. Reading, learning, observing, and practicing produces insight and capability. Every moment spent acquiring skill and understanding increases the resources available to future self. Ignoring opportunities to learn sacrifices growth, while deliberate pursuit of knowledge compounds into competence, influence, and freedom. Health, wealth, relationships, personal growth, and emotional balance all benefit when actions are selected with foresight. Each deliberate decision contributes to a life where potential is realized, stress is reduced, and opportunity is maximized. Future you will thank present you for creating structure, prioritizing effort, and consistently choosing what matters most. Ultimately, living in service of future self is about intentionality, discipline, and consistent action. It requires awareness, courage, and planning. Each choice made now has a direct impact on the quality, freedom, and opportunity of the life ahead. By prioritizing actions that produce long-term benefit over immediate comfort, you invest in strength, resilience, and fulfillment. Future you becomes a reflection of present decisions, habits, and values. Life is built one choice at a time. Every act, however small, compounds into the circumstances, abilities, and opportunities that define your tomorrow. Choosing intentionally, committing to growth, And acting with foresight creates a life where regrets are minimized, potential is maximized, and success is inevitable. The more consistently present you serve future self, the more confident, capable, and empowered you become.
Chapter 8. Break patterns that keep you emotionally small. Most people live their lives reacting rather than choosing, repeating the same emotional patterns over and over. They respond to situations out of habit, past conditioning, or fear, and these reactions keep them small, limited, and frustrated. Emotional patterns that go unchallenged prevent growth, undermine relationships, and block potential. Breaking these patterns is not about suppressing feelings or pretending to be different. It is about understanding why you react, taking control of your responses, and creating intentional habits that expand emotional capacity. Living emotionally larger requires awareness, courage, and deliberate effort every single day. The first step is observing your emotional habits. Notice what triggers anger, fear, jealousy, or insecurity. Track how your mind reacts in recurring situations. Awareness is the foundation for change because patterns remain invisible until identified. Many people believe they are acting freely, but unconscious habits dictate most responses. By observing your emotional tendencies, you see where you are constrained and where growth is possible. This observation is not judgment, it is the first act of self-mastery. Understanding the source of emotional patterns is crucial. Reactions often come from past experiences, unmet needs, or internalized beliefs. These patterns were formed for survival, comfort, or protection, but they are not serving your current life. Emotional triggers are clues, not obstacles. When you identify the origin of your reactions, you gain power to respond differently. Understanding the why behind feelings allows conscious choice, replacing automatic response with deliberate action. Breaking patterns requires willingness to feel differently. Change is uncomfortable because the mind resists unfamiliar behavior. Old emotional habits provide predictability, even if they limit potential. To grow, you must step into discomfort, allow emotions to arise without acting reflexively, and choose responses that reflect strength rather than fear. Each time you interrupt an old pattern, you expand capacity, reinforce control, and cultivate maturity. Self-reflection is a necessary practice. After experiencing an emotional reaction, pause and analyze it. Did the response reflect your highest value? Did it contribute to resolution or understanding? Could you have acted in a way that strengthened connection, insight, or opportunity? Reflection is a feedback loop that transforms experience into wisdom. Each cycle of observation and analysis strengthens emotional intelligence and reduces the likelihood of repeating limiting patterns. New emotional habits must replace old ones. Simply suppressing reactions is insufficient. Replacement behavior ensures growth. For example, replace defensiveness with curiosity, resentment with gratitude, or impulsive anger with calm communication. Every new response reinforces the ability to act intentionally and expands the emotional spectrum you can navigate. Consistent practice transforms conscious choices into automatic strength. Patience is required. Breaking emotional patterns does not happen overnight. Repetition of old habits will tempt relapse, but each conscious effort strengthens new neural pathways. The brain adapts slowly, and persistence is key. By committing to practice daily, even small changes accumulate into profound transformation. Patience nurtures resilience and fosters belief in personal capacity for emotional growth. Mindfulness amplifies change. Being fully present in moments of tension allows observation without judgment or immediate reaction. Mindfulness creates a pause between stimulus and response. In this pause lies choice. You can respond automatically, or you can respond intentionally. Emotional expansion occurs when conscious decision replaces conditioned reaction. This skill increases self-control, strengthens relationships, and develops confidence in navigating life's challenges. Communication improves when patterns are broken. Many emotional patterns manifest in speech, blaming, criticizing, interrupting, or withdrawing. By recognizing and altering these tendencies, interactions become more constructive, clear, and connected. Emotional control in communication demonstrates maturity, creates trust, and fosters understanding. The ability to engage without reacting impulsively expands influence and builds deeper, more resilient relationships. Boundaries support growth. Patterns often repeat because limits are unclear or unenforced. Saying yes out of fear, seeking approval, or tolerating disrespect reinforces smallness. Defining and maintaining boundaries interrupts reactive cycles and creates space for intentional action. Boundaries allow emotional energy to focus on growth, rather than defense, resentment, or avoidance. The clarity they provide strengthens confidence and self-respect. Emotional patterns often persist due to avoidance of pain. Avoidance offers temporary relief, but strengthens limitation. Facing discomfort fully, acknowledging fear or insecurity, and choosing deliberate response rewires emotional habits. Pain, when approached consciously, becomes a tool for learning and expansion, rather than a trigger for retreat. Each instance of facing emotional discomfort builds resilience, courage, and capacity for greater fulfillment. Self-compassion is vital. Breaking patterns is challenging, and setbacks are natural. Judging or criticizing yourself reinforces shame and diminishes motivation. Treat mistakes as opportunities to learn rather than evidence of failure. Compassion maintains emotional stability and encourages persistence. It fosters an environment where experimentation, growth, and courage are possible. Future responses strengthen when guided by understanding rather than self-criticism. Accountability accelerates progress. Sharing goals for emotional growth with a trusted friend, mentor, or coach provides external reinforcement. Accountability ensures reflection is honest, patterns are addressed, and intentional practices are maintained. When behavior is observed and discussed, insight deepens, and change becomes more probable. The combination of self-awareness and external accountability creates a powerful structure for lasting transformation. Envision calmness, assertiveness, or patience, replacing old reactions. Mental rehearsal strengthens neural pathways associated with new patterns and builds confidence in real-life situations. Visualization bridges intention and execution, preparing the mind to act intentionally under pressure rather than reverting to limiting habits. Gratitude expands emotional capacity. Many small patterns arise from focusing on what is lacking, unfair, or frustrating. Shifting attention to what is appreciated creates a wider emotional range. Gratitude interrupts cycles of negativity, fear, and smallness, reinforcing optimism, patience, and resilience. Consistently practicing gratitude rewires perception, enabling more intentional, constructive responses to challenges. Learning from others provides perspective. Observing how people respond in high-pressure situations or emotionally charged moments offers models for emotional expansion. Identifying techniques and mindsets that prevent small reactions informs personal practice. Mentorship, observation, and modeling accelerate the adoption of larger, healthier patterns. Adapting strategies from others allows refinement of behavior without trial and error alone. Consistency transforms effort into habit. Every interruption of a small emotional pattern reinforces the ability to act intentionally. Repetition consolidates new pathways in the brain, creating lasting change. Each conscious decision strengthens identity and self-perception. Over time, emotional reactions become aligned with intention rather than fear, creating stability, confidence, and freedom. Curiosity replaces judgment. Emotional patterns often include automatic negative evaluations of self or others. Choosing curiosity over judgment allows exploration, understanding,
and constructive response. Curiosity opens options, reduces defensiveness, and encourages engagement, rather than withdrawal. The practice of asking questions internally or externally shifts perspective and reduces the influence of limiting patterns. Resilience develops through repeated challenge. Life will test your new emotional responses repeatedly. Each challenge strengthens endurance and confirms capability. Resilience grows not by avoiding difficulty, but by navigating it intentionally. Over time, emotional responses expand, enabling handling of more complex situations without reverting to smallness. Decision-making improves with emotional growth. Patterns of impulsive reaction, avoidance, or defensiveness cloud judgment. Breaking these patterns allows clarity, reflection, and intentional action. Every choice becomes informed, deliberate, and aligned with long-term goals. The mind experiences freedom from automatic limitations and gains the power to act strategically rather than reactively. Self-trust emerges naturally. Each successful interruption of a limiting pattern reinforces belief in the ability to manage emotions, handle challenges, and respond with integrity. Trust in oneself replaces dependence on external validation, immediate reaction, or habitual defense. Confidence grows because the mind knows it can choose rather than be controlled by past conditioning. Empathy increases. Expanding emotional range allows recognition of others' perspectives without over-identifying or reacting defensively. Emotional maturity creates space for understanding, support, and connection. Relationships deepen because interactions are intentional, compassionate, and measured, rather than driven by automatic emotional reflex. Influence expands naturally when responses are deliberate and considered. The mind and body cooperate. Physical responses often accompany emotional patterns, tension, shallow breathing, or agitation. Awareness and regulation of bodily states strengthen emotional control. Practices such as breathing, posture, and mindful movement reinforce conscious responses. By integrating physical and mental awareness, patterns are interrupted at multiple levels, reinforcing growth. Reflection after conflict consolidates learning. Every emotionally charged encounter presents data about triggers, strength, and vulnerability. Evaluating performance without judgment reveals actionable insights for improvement. The combination of reflection and intentional adjustment ensures that patterns are continuously refined and expanded. Learning becomes cumulative and strategic, rather than repetitive and automatic. Ultimately, breaking patterns that keep you emotionally small is a daily, intentional practice. Awareness, reflection, replacement, patience, and consistent application are required. Growth is measured in small repeated efforts that compound into resilience, maturity, and freedom. Life becomes richer, relationships stronger, and influence more meaningful when emotional reactions are consciously chosen rather than dictated by habit. Your capacity expands as you intervene in every cycle of old behavior. Each moment of choice reinforces freedom, clarity, and strength. Over time, your mind no longer defaults to small, limiting reactions. Patterns that once defined life are replaced with intentional responses, emotional flexibility, and constructive engagement. Life is lived larger, richer, and more capable when old limitations are intentionally dissolved.
Chapter 9. Demand honesty from yourself before demanding results. Most people want results, but they often neglect honesty with themselves. They desire success, progress, and achievement. Yet many live with self-deception, denial, or selective perception. They make excuses, rationalize failure, and avoid uncomfortable truths about their actions, habits, and choices. The problem is that results are directly connected to self-honesty. Without facing reality, understanding limitations, and acknowledging responsibility, progress is impossible. True growth begins when you demand honesty from yourself before demanding results. It is about confronting the facts of your life, actions, and mindset with courage and clarity. The first step is recognizing self-deception. Pay attention to how you justify shortcuts, excuses, or failures. Notice the times you blame circumstances, other people, or external factors instead of evaluating your own role. Awareness of these moments is critical because denial masks the areas that require change. Without acknowledgement of the truth, efforts become scattered, inconsistent, and ultimately ineffective. By identifying where self-deception occurs, you can begin creating alignment between perception and reality. Facing truth requires courage. Honesty is rarely comfortable. It often reveals shortcomings, mistakes, and behaviors that you would rather ignore. Many avoid looking inward because they fear discomfort or judgment. However, acknowledging the truth is empowering. When you see reality clearly, you can make decisions that are grounded, deliberate, and effective. Avoidance only prolongs struggle, while courage creates clarity and control. Self-reflection is an essential tool. At the end of each day, take time to examine actions, words, and decisions. Ask whether they reflect your highest standards, or whether you compromise. Identify moments where you avoided responsibility or denied the truth. Reflection illuminates the gap between intent and action, allowing you to take corrective steps. This practice strengthens integrity and ensures that results are built on honest assessment, rather than wishful thinking. Accountability reinforces honesty. Sharing goals, challenges, and progress with a trusted person or mentor creates external validation for truthfulness. When someone else observes behavior and provides feedback, self-deception becomes harder to maintain. Accountability ensures that actions align with intentions, and intentions align with goals. It transforms abstract honesty into concrete practice, creating a reliable foundation for measurable progress. Understanding your patterns is critical. Repeated behaviors often conceal dishonesty with oneself. Examine habits, reactions, and choices to identify where truth has been ignored. Do you procrastinate but convince yourself you are productive? Do you overcommit and justify underperformance? Do you avoid difficult conversations while pretending issues are resolved? Awareness of these patterns provides insight into where alignment is needed, making it possible to act with intentionality. Emotional honesty is also vital. Acknowledging feelings, fears, and desires prevents them from undermining actions. Many people act based on denial or avoidance of their emotions, which leads to inconsistent effort and ineffective decisions. Recognizing internal states allows deliberate action, stronger judgment, and authentic engagement. Future results improve when behavior reflects both external goals and internal truth. Clear priorities emerge from self-honesty. By understanding what truly matters, you can allocate time, energy, and focus more effectively. Priorities clarify where effort should be applied and where compromise may be necessary. Without honesty about what is important, attention is scattered and results become diluted. Alignment between priorities, actions, and values produces sustainable, meaningful outcomes. Discipline grows from consistent honesty. When you refuse to lie to yourself about effort, commitment, or progress, discipline becomes automatic. It is easier to take the right actions consistently when you cannot rationalize shortcuts or avoidance. Honesty enforces standards, reinforces accountability, and ensures that effort translates into results rather than wasted energy. Breaking excuses is a practical step. Examine every rationalization you make and confront it directly. If you convince yourself a deadline is flexible, a task is optional, or a challenge is too hard, stop. Replace excuses with acknowledgement of reality and commitment to act. Excuses are illusions that delay growth. Removing them clears a path for focused, effective work that produces results worth pursuing. Observation of results is intertwined with honesty.
Assess outcomes, not only to celebrate success, but also to identify areas for improvement. Analyze why certain actions succeeded and why others fell short. Avoid attributing results solely to luck, circumstances, or other people. Recognize your role, your effort, and your decision. Honest evaluation creates a cycle of learning and continuous improvement, ensuring that each step forward is grounded in reality. Consistency is reinforced when honesty becomes habitual. Daily self-assessment, clear acknowledgement of responsibilities, and transparency about progress create momentum. Patterns of dishonesty, avoidance, or rationalization dissolve when self-honesty is practiced. Persistent. Over time, integrity becomes automatic, decisions become intentional, and results emerge naturally from disciplined action. Vision is clarified through honesty. Knowing where you stand enables accurate goal setting and realistic planning. Ambition without truth leads to misaligned efforts, wasted energy, and frustration. Honest assessment allows objectives to match capacity, resources, and circumstances, producing results that are both attainable and meaningful. The more accurate the self-assessment, the stronger the trajectory towards success. Self-trust grows when honesty is maintained. Each acknowledgement of truth, each decision made without denial, reinforces belief in your own judgment and capability. Self-trust provides confidence to take on challenges, make decisions, and act with authority. When you trust yourself, future results improve because actions are deliberate rather than reactive or inconsistent. Commitment is strengthened by honesty. When you see reality clearly, you can commit fully to necessary actions. Half-hearted efforts, rationalized delays, or selective effort are impossible to justify when you face facts direct. Commitment built on truth creates focus, energy, and momentum that drive progress forward without hesitation or distraction. Problem solving is enhanced through honesty. When challenges arise, facing them truthfully allows solutions to be identified clearly. Denial, minimization, or misrepresentation of issues clouds judgment and prolongs difficulty. Accurate assessment of obstacles enables strategic action, prioritization, and resource allocation. Solutions emerge naturally when reality is acknowledged rather than avoided. Learning from mistakes is accelerated. Honesty allows acknowledgement of errors without defensiveness. Each mistake becomes a data point, a lesson, and an opportunity for growth. Avoiding or hiding errors prevents insight and reinforces repeated patterns. By confronting mistakes honestly, you shorten the learning curve and increase the probability of achieving meaningful results. Energy is optimized when self-honesty guides action. Wasted effort from denial, misrepresentation, or self-deception drains motivation and slows progress. Acting in alignment with truth maximizes efficiency, reduces wasted energy, and focuses effort on actions that truly matter. Energy becomes a resource that fuels consistent, impactful work, rather than being dissipated in confusion or avoidance. Focus is sharpened. Honest recognition of priorities, limitations, and goals reduces distractions. Mental clutter caused by rationalizations, avoidance, or denial is eliminated. Focused attention on actionable steps produces clarity, confidence, and measurable progress. The mind can operate strategically rather than reactively, ensuring results are based on intention, not chance. Integrity reinforces accountability. When self-honesty is practiced consistently, it becomes impossible to act inconsistently with your own value. Integrity ensures that actions reflect principles, creating internal alignment and external credibility. Others notice consistency and authenticity, strengthening influence, relationships, and trust. The results you demand externally are mirrored in the truth you maintain internally. Planning improves. Honest evaluation of current circumstances allows realistic scheduling, goal setting, and resource allocation. Each plan is grounded in fact rather than wishful thinking or denial. This ensures that steps taken are effective, achievable, and aligned with long-term objectives. Plans based on honesty create reliable roadmaps toward results rather than fragile intentions. Stress and pressure are managed more effectively when truth is acknowledged. Anxiety from uncertainty or avoidance is reduced. Emotional tension decreases because reality is confronted directly rather than evaded. Clear understanding of status, responsibilities, and next steps produces calm confidence and clarity, enabling more consistent performance under pressure. Leadership of self strengthens. Demanding honesty internally models the standard you apply to external actions and expectations. Self-discipline, clarity, and integrity inspire confidence and capacity for leadership. When you hold yourself accountable before expecting results, personal and professional influence expands. Leadership begins internally before it is reflected externally. Growth becomes inevitable. Each honest evaluation, corrective step, and deliberate action compounds over time. Small, consistent acts of honesty build a foundation that supports higher achievement, resilience, and fulfillment. Results are no longer a matter of luck or hope, but the natural outcome of consistent, truthful effort. Finally, the habit of self-honesty ensures that future achievements are grounded in reality. Results achieved without deception are sustainable, credible, and replicable. You can trust your progress, plan confidently, and act decisively. Demanding honesty from yourself before demanding results transforms behavior, enhances capability, and produces outcomes that are meaningful, enduring, and deeply rewarding.
Chapter 10. Live each day as proof of higher personal standards. Every day is an opportunity to demonstrate the level of personal standards you hold for yourself. Standards are not abstract ideas, they are lived values reflected in your actions, decisions, and habits. Living each day as proof of higher personal standards means refusing to settle for less than what you know you are capable of, even when no one is watching. It requires self-awareness, discipline, and deliberate attention to the quality of how you conduct yourself. The way you show up today directly communicates what you demand from yourself and signals to others the seriousness of your commitment to growth, integrity, and excellence. The first step is defining what higher standards mean in your life. Clarify expectations for your behavior, work ethic, relationships, health, and personal growth. These standards must be specific, actionable, and measurable so you know whether you are living up to them. Vague ideals create ambiguity and inconsistency. By articulating clear standards, you create a framework for daily decisions, ensuring that every action can be evaluated and adjusted according to your own principles. Self-awareness is critical. Living at a higher standard requires knowing your current habits, strengths, and areas that need improvement. Honest evaluation allows you to identify where you are compromising and where effort is required to elevate your performance. Awareness of gaps between your current behavior and your desired standards fuels deliberate action. Without self-awareness, higher standards remain theoretical rather than visible in daily life. Consistency is the backbone of proving your standard. One outstanding act is inspiring, but repeated demonstration builds credibility and self-respect. Each day offers multiple opportunities to reflect your values through action. Whether in small tasks, conversations, or challenges, consistency communicates seriousness, accountability, and commitment. Living with consistency reinforces self-trust and ensures that your standards influence all areas of life, rather than isolated moments. Prioritization guides daily proof of standards. Time and energy are limited, so choices must reflect what matters most. Focus on actions that align with long-term goals, personal growth, and meaningful contribution. Avoid distraction by trivial or reactive activities. Higher standards are demonstrated not just in effort, but in the selective investment of attention and energy. Prioritization ensures that each day advances you toward the life you aspire to create. Accountability amplifies daily demonstration. Hold yourself responsible for every action, word, and decision. Track progress, reflect honestly, and adjust behaviors when necessary. External accountability with mentors, peers, or trusted partners reinforces commitment and provides clarity on areas needing improvement. Self-accountability ensures that actions are aligned with standards, even when comfort or convenience tempts compromise. Discipline transforms intention into action. Higher standards require doing what must be done, not what is easy or enjoyable. Discipline is a consistent choice to honor commitments, adhere to routines, and act according to principle. Every deliberate effort, whether in work, study, or personal development, is a tangible proof of the standards you uphold. Discipline ensures that your values are expressed in action, rather than remaining abstract concepts. Integrity is essential to visible standards. Every interaction, decision, and task must reflect honesty, fairness, and responsibility. Integrity means aligning words with actions and promises with follow-through. People notice when behavior is consistent with stated value. Living with integrity not only demonstrates your standards to yourself, but also earns trust, respect, and credibility from others, reinforcing the authenticity of your life. Mindfulness enhances the ability to live at higher standards. Being present in each moment ensures that decisions are intentional rather than habitual or reactive. Awareness of your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors creates opportunities to act deliberately. Mindfulness allows you to notice when you are compromising or settling, providing the chance to course correct in real time. Each moment becomes an opportunity to prove standards through conscious choice. Growth-oriented action is part of daily proof. Seek to improve continuously in skill, knowledge, and character. Take on challenges that push boundaries, expand competence, and increase resilience. Avoid stagnation by committing to learning and development in both personal and professional realms. Progress becomes visible when effort is directed intentionally toward advancement, demonstrating standards through tangible growth rather than idle aspiration. Attention to detail communicates standards clearly. Small actions, like punctuality, preparedness, and thoroughness, reflect the level of care and commitment you maintain. Excellence is often observed in these subtle decisions, rather than grand gestures. By attending to the details consistently, you signal seriousness about your principles and create momentum toward higher achievement. Boundaries reflect standards as well. Protecting time, energy, and values ensures that external pressures or distractions do not erode your commitment to quality. Saying no to behaviors, requests, or environments that undermine standards preserves integrity and focus. Boundaries create space for intentional action and reinforce the seriousness of the standards you uphold. Account for habit. Daily routines are the most powerful vehicle for proving standards. Intentional habits, repeated consistently, shape behavior, mindset, and capability. Examine routines regularly to ensure they support growth, productivity, and well-being. Replace unhelpful habits with practices that reinforce discipline, focus, and personal accountability. Over time, habits compound to embody the standards you aim to live by. Facing challenges demonstrates standards under pressure. True personal standards are visible in moments of difficulty, stress, or adversity. Choices made under pressure reflect character, discipline, and consistency. Responding calmly, deliberately, and effectively in challenging situations proves that your standards are not contingent on comfort, but on commitment. These moments shape perception, self-respect, and long-term results. Reflection consolidates daily proof. At the end of each day, review actions, decisions, and outcomes. Ask whether each moment reflected the level of standards you aspire to maintain. Identify successes, recognize areas for improvement, and plan adjustments for tomorrow.
Reflection transforms ordinary days into deliberate practice in living with higher standards and accelerates personal growth. Emotional regulation reinforces visible standards. Respond to stress, frustration, or criticism thoughtfully rather than impulsive. Emotional control demonstrates maturity, resilience, and self-mastery. People notice how composure and intentionality in response create credibility and influence. Daily proof of standards is incomplete without mastery over reactions and emotions. Focus on contribution. Living higher standards includes how actions impact others. Approach work, relationships, and interactions with intention, care, and responsibility. Consistently contributing positively reflects accountability, integrity, and respect. Standards are not only self-directed, but evident in the way life is shaped to benefit those around you. Health and well-being reflect standards visibly. Choosing nutrition, movement, and rest demonstrates self-respect and commitment to performance. Neglecting the body undermines capability and communicates compromise in standards. By maintaining physical well-being, you prove commitment to sustainable energy, focus, and resilience in daily life. Continuous learning demonstrates commitment to standard. Engaging with new knowledge, seeking feedback, and developing skills reflects seriousness about personal growth. Stagnation or avoidance communicates complacency. Daily attention to learning reinforces discipline, curiosity, and preparation, signaling that standards are active, not passive. Generosity and integrity in relationships provide daily proof. Treat others with fairness, respect, and honesty consistently. Avoid manipulation, dishonesty, or convenience-based kindness. Standards are most powerful when applied to interactions with others, revealing character through action rather than claims. Relationship quality reflects personal principles in real time. Adaptability strengthens daily demonstration. While standards remain fixed, circumstances often change. Responding effectively to change while maintaining principles demonstrates flexibility, foresight, and maturity. Standards are proven when behavior aligns with core values under shifting circumstances, rather than bending to convenience or pressure. Time management demonstrates commitment to standards. Each choice of how time is used signals priorities, discipline, and intention. Effective allocation of attention, focus on high-value activities, and avoidance of wasted energy communicate seriousness about growth, responsibility, and purpose. Time spent intentionally reflects higher standards more clearly than words alone. Decision-making consistently aligned with principles provides ongoing proof. Choose actions based on long-term goals, values, and integrity rather than impulse, fear, or short-term gain. Decisions are the bridge between intention and reality, and consistency in choice solidifies credibility, influence, and self-respect. Resilience is visible through action. Responding to setbacks, criticism, or failure with composure, reflection, and corrective effort proves standards more than immediate success. Strength emerges from the capacity to maintain principles under pressure, demonstrating consistency and self-mastery over circumstance. Finally, living each day as proof of higher personal standards is a comprehensive commitment. It involves clarity, discipline, awareness, reflection, integrity, and courage. Every choice, habit, interaction, and decision becomes evidence of the level you expect from yourself. Over time, the accumulation of these daily demonstrations transforms identity, capability, and perception. Life becomes a reflection of deliberate, consistent, and principled action. Each day offers a chance to communicate to yourself and the world that your standards are real, non-negotiable, and embodied in the way you live.